What's up, HMK family, YouTube family? This is the work from this week. This is all the rivet lock bolt. Gosh, actually we're missing one. This one. I'll leave that down the middle. So I thought what I would do simply is just show you each one individually, just quickly, briefly, now that there's still light in the day. I'm going to a fair tomorrow where I'm having these for sale, so there's a good chance that I won't be able to do this. I won't have another opportunity to do this until tomorrow. And then there's another one still. I'm going to show you guys this one first because it's pretty cool. It's a little odd to some eyes, but I like this way of doing it. I didn't actually use any glue in there. This is all mechanically fixed together, and the washers, they're like crimped around the curvature of the handle. So that's like, it's super comfortable. And then when you have like, when it's not too smooth, there's a lot of grip. A knife this small, you don't really want to have too smooth handles, otherwise it's slippery. So here you have it, numero uno. Actually no, this is number 20 from the rivet lock bulkers. So an experiment, really. I wanted to see how I would do a fuller. So I thought we'll start off the show with this one, which is pretty dope. And as you can see how the rivet lock mechanism works, it allows you to lock it in like that. So what do we got on the table? Everybody has seen this one. We are trying to take sort of like a daily update video on the first one, the prototype, so that we can see how it fares from a day-to-day basis. This is rivet lock bulko long number 2 with the longest handle so far available, which is 14 centimeter long handle. Then we got number 3, which is sold. Number 2 is kind of reserved, but we'll see. Number 3 is sold. And again, I was selling these at 120 euros each, these rivet lock bulko longs. And I will be making actually too many more of the mediums for a while. I kind of like it at 21 or 22 or wherever it was, how many we made, because I got a lot of custom orders to work on. And next time I make or forge, I really want to make more of these, because when I break it down logically, and when I'm trying to, when you think about it reasonably, and you think about it in terms of engineering and stuff like that, this steel that we're using for this project, right, this coil spring, so the long ones are cut from this, and this is the spring that they're cut from. It's a high carbon spring steel, and we can push it above 60 HRC, so it's more than a capable carbon steel for knives. And but when it comes to steel choice and all the steels available out in the market, this steel makes most sense in this particular product, right? These rivet lock bulko longs. And I think anybody in the audience here would probably agree, people who have like any experience with knives and stuff like that, these are totally fine. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just when you look at the market and you look at sort of the competition of this type of knife that's out there, this shape, this style, everything like that, which are generally not forged. They're usually stainless steel or a super stainless steel, or these kind of like crazy combinations, Damascus, because the reason for that is because this particular design, this type of shape, actually fills a role in the market that's how do you put this in better words? It doesn't make sense to make a knife like this out of most of those steels. You would never make a knife like this out of San Mai. it would be crazy. There's only one option really for this knife style, and that is a spring steel that's high carbon. So maybe even 52-100 steel would be great for those. But again, we don't want it to be too complicated. We want to keep it simple. And when it comes to knife styles like this, I have a complementary series with rivet lock bullcore small, medium, and large, so that you can have all three. And these, so let's go actually through these in order then from number 13. Very cool. And you can see all that, the gibberish that I've written all over the tang. So again, this has excellent edge retention, and because it's been forged at hot, medium, and then cold forged like the Japanese do. Japanese master kitchen knife makers, they often pick spring steels to practice and hone their forging skills because it's so forgiving and it can take all the cold forging very, very well. And it's a very versatile heat treat. This is number 21, so these are not actually in order. Sorry. So this is number 21. And I really like this hollow grind. I'm a big fan of this now. Hollow here, and then convex here. It's 120 grit edge. A nice thing, a really nice thing about using a steel like this is that even though it has a very long edge retention, especially if you take care of it, it's quite easy to sharpen. But again, like spring steels, they're the toughest steels, right? So they're the ones that can take the most abuse. They're the ones that you can sort of, you're more likely, you can smash around more. And I think when we're thinking about a product that you want to rely on, that you want to like, you know, legitimately rely on and know that it's going to be around for a long time, I think spring steel makes an excellent choice for any style knife, regardless of what size or shape, or you know, whether it's a kitchen knife, whether it's a scalpel, whether it's whatever, because it's just such when you think about knives, you know, it's a thin, long object. So having, you know, an option for every single style of knife that exists that is as tough or as springy, I guess you could say, as possible is always great. So the nice thing with spring steels, you know, like 51 or these high carbon spring steels, is that like every single knife type that exists out there, you can, you know, make in spring steel, and it won't be a bad knife. It'll be an excellent knife, really. So this one's number 18. This one's 17. So they're like half in order, but a little bit backwards. So this one's 17. And you can see these are strongly sort of inspired by American skinning knife designs. So, and I think most of the people watching, these won't necessarily be anything super spectacular, but the main thing here, really, that the main key takeaway is that these are all hand forged completely. There's no power hammer and stuff like that. So part of the, this is number 16, this one. So part of the spirit here is to actually, you know, process from scratch. You know, I can go out there, I go see my friend at the scrap yard, and he's got like 30 of these, you know, a truckload. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like any knife maker that's out there, this is, you're gonna take that, you're gonna turn that into knives, and you're gonna sell them. And I have a boatload, like I said. So, you know, part of the whole process here is more than just the knife. It's also the practice of refining bladesmithing as a skill. So that's, you know, strongly what this is about. You know, these are extremely consistent from one another. These are not, they don't vary too much, which is like a really important factor. And they represent a manufacturing technique that is consistent, which is also important when we're talking about artisanry. You know, it's nice to know that actually this is a knife design that technically I could make without any electricity, because all I need, because I'm using forging techniques that are ancient, that are supposed to be, you know, from these times where there's no electricity. So, you know, other than drilling holes, which would be a bit tough, there's you know, many ways to do holes in steel. But you know, if we look here at these earlier ones like 008, this doesn't have any holes in the tine because it was always supposed to have a paracord string. So this one's a bit more gentlemanly. I like this one. The handle curves down a little bit. So a large aspect of why you would be buying one of these is the appreciation for the fact that there's a whole, you know, process of forging going on, and there's a practice going on where it's not just, you know, okay, yeah, these are cut, you know, and then heat treated, and I water grind them after that. So this is like, but there's no way to forge this. Think about how much time you would take to cut this out of a sheet of metal yourself by hand, or forge it. It would be ridiculous. So there's only one way to do that. So did we look at number 15? This is one of my favorite ones from this batch. I think you guys would like it. This is super American style Skinner knife. Very reminiscent of American style skinning knives. I put a really steep edge on some of these, on most of these, just so they're, you know, deadly sharp out of the box. I lost track of the whole. This is another one of my favorites from this one. I like how the handle's actually so tall and it's actually quite thick. So I'm gonna try and make more of these because this makes a lot of sense. I like this, and I think a lot of people would like this. The ones that have been selling the fastest have been the ones with the shorter blades, just like this one. So you see, it's very comfortable design, you know. And the thing is, like, personally, over the years, yeah, I like to have scales and I like to have a handle on my blade, but nowadays knives have to have like a pretty high aspect of like EDC capabilities. Like, if you really want like a one knife to do it all, you can sort of make it slightly thinner on the handle so that it's much more easily portable. And you know, when you do a paracord like this, it's a lot of grip and it's very thin and low profile. So, you know, this is still pretty low profile, I guess you could say. But I've always liked full steel blades. I've always really liked them. So I mean, I completely understand if some people don't. And part of my work as a bladesmith is to make the knives, you know. All my competitors, everybody else that makes knives and puukos that I know, they, you know, they get a ton of puukko blades cut, they grind them, you know, they heat treat them, whatever, they grind them or whatever, and then they just sell blades as they are without sheaths and without handles. So I thought I would tap into that market, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm tapping into that market with a forged high-end product that's a full steel blade, and really the intent is that you can buy it as is and have, you know, as full steel, or have me wrap a handle or put some scales or something random, you know, to it, anything, right? But mainly that people can put their own scales on there. Now, on the next batch of these that I do, I'll be putting 3 pins in the scales. But yeah, so I'm gonna go through all of them once more, and so this one's number 13. It's pretty nice, and this one is number 21. Let's see if we can go in numerical order here. Whatever. So this one is number 19. And whatever is not sold this weekend, I will definitely put on the website. And I took a picture of each one of these, so yeah, very tough, dependable EDC collection of blades and blade types. And because they're all different, each one is unique, there's a perfect one for everyone. So yeah, I could try to make them all exactly the same, but I think that would, you know, take out the fun. And I think also when you're forging to a certain degree, you can't really help but have variation. So most of my life I've been doing rat tails, but recently I've been sort of just jumping into the full tang. So this one's number 18. Here's number 15. I think I said this was like my favorite one from the batch. It's got a very lovely blade. This one is number 8. I don't know, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe, you know, I like it full steel like this without the holes, you know, as well. It makes them significantly stronger, you know. Wherever you have holes, it's technically a weak spot, so removing these holes and just having purely as a paracord handle blade is actually not unreasonable either if you want to maximize the toughness of the blade. But then, you know, the argument for the rivet lock itself then comes into question. So I like this, and if you use my method of doing the scales, so just, this is a really nice one as well. So I'm gonna have to do a video about this someday, but if you do a similar process as this with the riveting, what it does is that it clamps both sides down. It presses the scales firmly on both sides. You don't need glue, it's all mechanical, right? So by doing it this way, yeah, you don't need to like grind everything perfectly flat. The cold forging has made a really smooth surface. So by doing it like this, you're kind of forcing everything to go flush together, which is really nice. And it's a very solid grip. I personally like having little protrusions coming out of the handle like this because it does add a little substance and grip. If it's smooth, it slips. So here's number 17. But I think when it comes to full tang knives, I think the Goldilocks number of pins is 3. So I'm gonna take that into consideration. Maybe some of you know better. Maybe some of you know that that's the fact, and that there's some kind of metallurgical or some kind of like geometrical or production thing. It's probably just to get flusher fit, right? So the center of the center of the scale doesn't pop out, so you don't have like an arch in the middle. This one's really beautiful, really nice. I'm gonna try and make them more like this. Maybe I should keep this one. This one's number 10 here. So we're just going through them all. And in a way, a little bit, this is sort of a video for myself, so I can go back and check out the quality of each one of these, because I'm a bit in a rush. I have to run back. I have to drive all the way. I have to drive quite a long way because the fair is quite far away, and I gotta sleep overnight elsewhere, and I bring all this stuff with me, so I really only have this window of opportunity to actually take a video showcasing all of this stuff. So, oh, they're beautiful. They're beautiful. So again, like I said, I think I'm going to focus mostly on these longer ones now for a while. I want to get like 20 of these made, 30 of these made. That would be the dope. Super dope. Because this is really like what I'm all about. This is like super cool. And when I make these, it feels like I'm making a katana, you know? I'm very precise with my forging. And these, by the way, believe it or not, right? I don't know if you can see this. That's 252 grams, right? My phone with the cover is 271 grams. So this is lighter than a smartphone. That's number 3. I have to be careful with this one. I don't want to scratch it. These sheaths are not, you know, they're utilitarian. And then here is number 2. I love that tip, man. That Kisaki style tip is just sick. I'm a one-man army making all this, so, you know, I try to make designs that are like actually quite easy for manufacturers to replicate using like stock removal methods too. So, you know, if somebody's out there like, oh, that's a pretty good idea, well, maybe, let's see, maybe, you know. So I do kind of deliberately also make designs like somewhat appealing from a manufacturing perspective, in terms of simplicity. I mean, everybody, these rivet lock buckle M's, anybody that's a knife maker who's been making knives for 10 plus years, 20 years, I mean, they'll know every single, they can eyeball, they know, like, this is an extremely familiar design to them. There's nothing unfamiliar about these knives to somebody who has like 20 years of experience. This is like every knife maker that makes thousands of knives, maybe even per year, probably has a product available that's extremely similar to these. Probably in stainless steel, probably in some super steel, probably in all sorts of different steel. I don't think anybody out there is forging these like this the way I do, or have a rivet lock. You know, that's how I contribute, but it's good to have a product that's inside the same area. It's, you know, something that everybody's familiar with. So I have a really cool video idea coming up with this particular one where I'm going to compare these French bayonets to this, so I can show you guys a little bit more what I had going on. See, this one's been pretty used up. I noticed that the paracord grip gets kind of grippier and grippier the more you use it, because it sort of fills up with oils from your hand, which actually really add to the grippiness. All right. And just extra special, a little special for you guys. My old Bowie, I haven't made a video of this one for a long time. It's really badass. This weighs like 560 grams. Check this out. So, if these rivet lock buckle long weigh 250 grams each, this one weighs 550 grams. You can see, like, you know, and this is a pretty regular Bowie. It doesn't have a particularly thick blade. This is more of a dagger, really. And then here is another one that you guys have all seen before. I've been using this one a lot. It took me 7 years to come up with this design and perfect it, the Kisaki. It's like over 200 prototypes or something crazy. Thank you guys for watching. I hope it was an enjoyable video. I mean, I don't know if it was necessarily interesting. I'm really just trying to make a lot of content and you know, have like a familiarity online, and you know, put some life and presence and character into my brand. So, and I got a lot of interesting stuff, albeit it's a ton of work. I have a trouble, you know, answering everybody from time to time, but you know, this is all of this and these two plus my own here. That's like less than 2 weeks of work. So I'm counting a couple extra of these because there's some blades that I left in the workshop. So this is everything that's pretty much 100% done. So HMK family, thank you for watching, and hope you guys have a lovely evening and a lovely day.